At a time where Chris Benoit was a Four Horseman and he was a big deal in the Four Horsemen, and of course he's no longer with us now, but once upon a time he won the title at a pay-per-view. I guess it was sold out in like 2000, and then he decided that he and a few others wanted to jump to the WWF. And if you don't want to talk about that, we can clip all
of this. No, I'll gladly talk about it.
I just want to ask you, and in fairness, I want to say we can clip all of this if you're not talking about it.
Go ahead.
But I just wanted to ask, at the time, it seemed like Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, a few other guys, Shane Douglas or whoever it was,
Douglas. Is he a wrestler?
Decided they wanted to instead, play their hand for Vince McMahon and the WWF, and that was at a time when a lot of unrest was happening in WCW. What did that look like for you? In my head as a fan,
it was not. I'll answer the question, but he'll give you a more elaborate discussion. It gave him more problems. We had 47 Spanish people work for the company. You know what Arnie used to say? They're here to guard the NWO.
Well, but in fairness, it seemed like a lot of fans, and maybe those guys included, thought, well, now that Kevin was in power, maybe Chris Benoit and those guys weren't going to be looked unfavorably. So it seemed like to us watching at home, who maybe thought that, Sid lost to Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit won the world title the first night Kevin Sullivan was in power, and then 2 days later, he's in WWE. So what happened with that from your perspective, Kevin?
Okay, do you know how hard it was to ask Sid Vicious, who's 6'6", 350 pounds, 330 pounds, to do a job to a guy that was 5'7"?
No, sir, I can't imagine that.
Do you know when I gave them the finish, Sid looked at me and said, I'd never do this, no disrespect to you, Chris. I'd never do this for anybody, but I'll do it for you, Kevin. And I smelt a rat that night. And that's when the finish, I told Sid, stick your foot out under the rope in case I need to pull this out. They just didn't want me there. They wanted to run the whole show. And at the time, Bill Bush and Gary Jusso were running the company. They thought that doing this, that they definitely had it on their side, that, Bush had to go with them. The thing was, Bush went with me. I had put the U.S. title on Eddie. I was getting ready to put the tag team titles on Perry Saturn and Dean. If I was holding them back in any way, it was a strange way to think I was holding them back. I put Chris and Dean with the Four Horsemen. I mean, that was a tremendous rub for those two guys. At that time I made Eddie U.S. champion and cruiserweight champion. So it was a